So listen, I'm all about healthy relationships. And with that, I firmly believe that as a man, you have to be willing and prepared to pour into the woman what she needs in order to create harmony in that relationship, as she should be pouring into you. However, I see a lot of men crossing a line that is unhealthy, doing things they should not be doing that's only working against them. All right. And you have to be careful because there's a point where you can actually lose respect from the woman that you're trying so hard to quote unquote love. And the reason why I say quote unquote love is because a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times the willingness to cross those bad lines are due to issues within you that need to be resolved. But we're going to leave the issues part alone for right now and just focus on 3 things you should never do to please a woman. Now, one of the first most important things is never be someone you're not trying to get her or please her. Now, I would hope this would be established from the jump, right? But let's just give an example. You'll have a man sometimes, he comes across a woman, he thinks she's so beautiful, he wants to impress her. So this man is trying to take her to nice restaurants and do all this extra fancy things and plan all these extravagant dates, right? And that sounds good on the surface, but the problem is the guy is doing things that are really outside of his character and not things that he's going to sustain because let's just say that guy isn't really into the finer things in life. He's not really into being all extra extravagant. It doesn't mean he's not or unwilling to do that sometimes, but that's not his consistent self, right? But if that woman buys into thinking this is who you are and that you're going to always be willing to spend this money and do all these different things, you guys finally get together, your true self comes out, and now there's a clash, right? Because she's expecting what she received from the beginning, and you're thinking, no, I was just doing that to get you, and now that I got you, I'm good. And it's like, no, you're really not good because now either she's going to try to pull you back into a place you don't want to be, or you're going to force her to try to accept what you're now presenting. Either way, neither side is truly happy, and things cannot grow in a healthy manner from there. Now, I just gave one example, but there's a lot of different ways where men start off trying to impress the woman by being something that they are not. And if you cannot sustain that, that's not truly who you are, it's never going to work. So it's important as a man that you figure yourself out first before you pursue any woman out there. You have to establish what's your base, what's the lifestyle you want to live, what things work for you. Because it's not about finding a woman and seeing how you can fit into her life. It's about establishing your life and then finding the woman who can fit into it, or you guys can fit together, all right? So you got to do that work within yourself and be real about who you are. Now, understand that in coming to true acceptance of self, it might mean changing your taste in women. For some guys, you may realize, man, what I'm willing to deal with and pour into a relationship, this type of woman requires things that just doesn't work for me, all right? So let me shift my taste. So let me become more aware now of what actually works better for me. Now, understand, that's not settling, all right? It's finding your happiness. It's finding your peace, all right? I'll give a quick example. I remember one time I was working at a job, and I was in one department, and I was killing it, doing amazing. In like 2-3 months, they wanted to promote me to this higher department. More money, more perks, right? But when I get there and I get promoted, I find out way more stressful. Not as like, I remember we had shorter lunch times in this department. Like there was a lot of different things that I lost out on that weren't important to me. So having the label of working in this prestigious department, as well as a little bit more money, it wasn't that much more in my opinion to make it worth it. I was like, nah, I'd rather go back to the other department. I'm not settling. I was just happier in that department. So it's like, yo, you're trying to aim for a certain kind of woman, but you might be happy with something a little bit different. So, and it's easier to recognize that when you understand who you are. So bottom line is, don't be something that you're not. It never works in the long run. Figure out who you are. All right, so now another thing you should never do as a man to please a woman is tolerate unhealthy, toxic behavior. All right, so I can tell you firsthand, I get a lot of DMs from guys, and I run into a lot of guys when I'm at the gym and just being out and about who actually watch my content and who need help. And a lot of times, these guys are entertaining a woman who is behaving in very toxic, unhealthy ways. Now, I'm in no way absolving men of how they may be contributing to that. Because there are some cases that, yes, you are contributing or even in some situations the cause of a lot of unhealthy behavior. However, I'm not going to ignore the fact that there's some really good dudes who are just with some really bad women. And regardless of the men making an effort to stay positive and nice, this woman continues to behave in disrespectful ways. And the problem is he keeps entertaining it. He keeps allowing it. He remains in this relationship despite it, which signals to her, you are going to accept this behavior. Why should she change? She doesn't think she has to change when there's no consequences for it, okay? And consequences as far as letting her go. So it's important, and especially as, again, these are all things you want to establish as early as possible. That disrespectful, unhealthy, toxic behavior is not going to be tolerated. Now, if you want that, you've got to lead by example. And not just lead by example, you got to learn not to add fuel to the fire. So if you are already dealing with it, or you find yourself in a situation where you're dating a woman and she starts being all rude, nasty to you, disrespectful, whatever the case may be, you can't allow that to be an excuse to say, oh, she want to talk to me like that? Okay, now I'm going to talk back to her. Or I'm going to get just as rude as and disrespectful and toxic. Because one, you're now going to create a cycle of this is how you guys engage with each other, right? And two, how can you demand the respect that you're not giving yourself, regardless of how she wants to behave? As a man, you have to lead. You have to lead by example. She want to act stupid? All right, recognize that, call it out. And if she does not change it, you've got to be willing to let her go. And the reality is that too many men, for various deeper reasons, are afraid to let go of that woman. And that contributes to why they tolerate this unhealthy behavior. But it's never going to change if that's the case. So you got to make sure you hold her to a higher standard. You hold yourself to a higher standard. You establish early on how we properly handle things, how we handle conflict with maturity, all right? What are the rules of engagement that we're going to have? What kind of structure can we create that would allow for fair communication on both sides so that we can find resolution? But we also have to accept the reality that sometimes you just chose wrong. All right? Sometimes you got with the wrong woman, and no amount of healthy behavior is going to change that. Don't be in denial of that. And that's why it's so important that you make sure as a man, you do healing too. There's a lot of dudes who they're kind of resistant to the whole idea of healing therapy, but they don't realize not doing it is what keeps you in a cycle of these unhealthy, toxic situations with women. And you can experience much better with them. You can experience a great relationship, but it's hard to do that when you haven't resolved things from within. So be willing to embrace that. If you need help, I got a book called Love After Heartbreak. It's for men and women. It gives you the steps to healing. So that way you don't have to worry about if you got to go see a therapist. Like, you just read the book, follow the steps I give you. Trust me, you're going to see a huge difference. All right, so last but not least, another thing that a man should never do to try to please a woman is walk away from your purpose. All right? So for me, purpose and God go hand in hand. Because for me, our purpose comes from God. Now, I understand and recognize not all of us have the same beliefs. So we're just going to focus on purpose for a second. And if you as a man don't know what that purpose is, well, then it's so much easier for a woman to pull you off of your necessary path. It's so much easier for a woman to become a distraction in your life. It's so much easier for you to entertain unhealthy women who you need to let go of, because you're not working towards something greater that allows you to see this is a problem, or it makes it easier to see that, all right? Because when you're in your purpose and you got this woman that's dragging you down in the wrong direction, it's going to hit you even harder, or you're going to be more aware of it, and therefore it's going to be harder for you to ignore and act and brush it under the table, so to speak, brush it under the rug. So as a man, take time to figure that out, okay? Now, again, for me, that connects with strengthening your relationship with God. But even if that's not your thing, like, sit down with yourself, do some self-reflection, do some self-discovery, do the healing. I believe the healing can help us unlock what our purpose is. And sometimes figuring out our purpose is not about figuring out the big picture. It's just figuring out what the next step is. Like, when I figured my purpose out, it wasn't, I knew I was going to be doing relationship advice and videos. I didn't even, listen, I failed classes in school because I hated writing. I never liked speaking in front of people. I'm super introverted, right? Like, all the things that I've done went completely against what I thought I was at the very least. And it only was through me praying and asking God, all right, what's the next step in my life? Like, what do you want me to do right now? And it started with a book, and then it was a blog, and then it was certified coach. And it just kept going from there. And then once all the pieces came together, then it was like, oh, now I see what this is. Now I know what I'm supposed to be doing here. But initially, it was just figuring out what that next step is in your life. But either way, and I'll do more videos on really trying to help you with gaining clarity on what your purpose is. But when you have it, do not walk away from it from a woman. And even if you don't know what your purpose is, whatever that thing is that you are working on, that you are working towards, that are using to grow and become a better man, do not walk away from those things for a woman. So even in the simplest form, if you've been dedicated to the gym and getting yourself healthy, then a woman comes along, do not let that go for a woman. That's for you. You need that. And the crazy thing is, it was your dedication to that contributed to why she was attracted to you in the first place. So when you walk away from those things, when you walk away from your commitments, from your disciplines, you are going to start to lose her respect. And you're going to also start to make her think that you have her on such a high pedestal that she has power over all the things you choose to do. That's not a good position to be in. So you have to show her, like, again, it's about establishing your life, your priorities, what's important to you, and then seeing who you can align yourself with and move forward in a healthy relationship. Hey, thank you for watching this video. I hope it was helpful to you. Be sure to watch this one over here on huge signs you need to let that woman go. You have to pay attention to not just how she is with you early on, but how she treats other people, because I can almost assure you that if she